Whoa! Come on! Yo! You just walked in to Cookin Wit Yougenious. Welcome to my home. Come on in. What up? It's your main man Gino, coming to you from my studio kitchen in the historic 3rd Ward, Texas. On this episode of Cookin Wit Yougenious, we're going to guide you on a journey into the kitchen, beginning with some of the bare necessities that belong in the pantry, the brain and nervous system of the kitchen. And with these basic tools and ingredients, you could create so many flavors. Today, we'll also prepare some toasted rice topped off with a whole roasted Cornish hen that we're going to spatchcock. I know, a funny name, but keep the jokes to yourself, huh? Come on. Alright, by the way, spatchcocking just means to splay it open and cut through the bones with some kitchen shears. Now, should there be any leftover rice, we're going to show you how to make something for your furry friends to keep in the freezer so you can give them some natural whole food treats whenever you want. But first, we're going to start our series about building the pantry. Are you ready? Let's do this. Come on. Good salt, good oils, good vinegar. That's what you'll need to start the pantry. You could build flavor without the dried spices and herbs, but it takes a little work and definitely some time. But with enough time, anything is possible. Let's think of cooking as art. The pantry is your color palette. The utensils you use in the kitchen, that's your paintbrushes, each with different strokes. Learn your brushes. Over the next few episodes, what we're doing is going through some of my favorite pantry staples and tools that I personally use in the kitchen. Alright? We're going to talk about fats and how they affect flavors, and some of the differences in how they cook and their smoke points. The smoke point of an oil means it can reach that particular temperature before it starts to burn and start to smoke. Something like olive oil has a very low smoke point. Technically, it can withstand some high heat because of its unique oil structure, but not everything has to taste like olives, and that's why I like avocado oil, because it's a very neutral flavored oil and it has a high smoke point. It's going to allow you to taste the freshness of the ingredients. I use this as a general cooking oil. Sometimes I like coconut oil too. It depends on what I'm doing. Now obviously, it's a wonderful thing to keep around because we get to make things like Gino's Love Lotion that we made a couple episodes ago, huh? I use that avocado oil even in my salad dressings because it's way cheaper than the olive oil. I only use the olive oil when I'm wanting that particular flavor to shine through. Some may say that I'm blasphemous, but look, I do what I want. In any case, as a rule of thumb, remember, olive oil is a food and needs to be eaten. You need to eat it within 6 or 7 months of opening it or it goes rancid. Try using it to finish a couple things that need a little extra fat. Like some roasted vegetables or marinara sauce. And if you put it in the sauce, it makes it really nice and glossy. Any sauce, even the store-bought, just add it in at the end. I also want to talk about where you store the oil. Now, please, for the sake of everything holy, don't keep your oil next to the stove. The heat and the moisture cause it to go rancid very, very fast. Bottles of oil could go rancid in a matter of days instead of months. Olive oil especially. I store my oils in the original container far away from the stove in the window. Do the same and you'll get the best bang for your buck. Now, let's Mortal Kombat that chicken. Finish him. First things first to spatchcock this chicken. I just pulled it out. Now come over here. This is what's called a Cornish hen. You can see it's small, okay? My writing partner Dave said it's like the veal of birds. So, because they pick them when they're real young. So we're gonna pin the wings back like this. All right. We're gonna flip this over. We're gonna take our shears right here, and then look. This is the middle of the bird. This is the spine right here, right? Now I'm gonna come up the side of it right here like this. It's real easy. You just come up. You can hear the ribs crunching, right? And then you go on the other side. You see where the tail is right here? This is the tail. We're gonna go from the tail all the way to the neck. All right. And I said we Mortal Kombat it, we actually pull the whole spine out. Bada bing, bada boom. Now check it out. Come over here. We go straight into the freezer where I got my bone bag. Right? This is where I keep all my chicken pieces. So when I make stock, I got all this beautiful chicken meat. It's about time for me to make stock. We're gonna do that soon, huh? Come on. Now once this is done here, we want to take the chicken and we need to pat it dry, right? So we're gonna take a bunch of our paper towels here. We're gonna let it out. Bada bing, bada boom. Look at this. Boom. Gonna pat that dry. As dry as you can get it. Make sure that you lift and get into the little pits. The little pits of the bird, huh? Come on. Whatever. Flip it over. Yeah, it's a little gross, I know, you know, but you know what? This is food. This is what we're really eating. Things have bones, things have skin, things have blood. It's just the way it is. Get over yourself. Come on. All right. Once this is nice and patted dry, we're gonna have to salt it. All right. You know how we like to do. Come in here. Remember how we did that steak? We did that overnight dry brine? Yeah. We're doing that again, but this time with the chicken. Okay. We want this all to be the same. We just break this breastbone so it lays nice and flat, right? So this way, all the different portions of the chicken are going to cook evenly, and then we're going to be left with a nice crispy skin, especially after this salt evaporates all the moisture and liquid off the surface of that skin. All right, now check it out. We're going to go right into the refrigerator with that one, and plata. This is going to be our overnight dry brine one that I've already put together. You can see how, look at the color change and the difference. Do you remember how the steak was like that too? Everything changes, the texture changes. This is a perfectly seasoned breast, so we don't need to use any other seasonings to do that. Now, I do want to address something. Hey, we don't use a lot of seasonings right now in the beginning parts of these episodes, because really, I'm just trying to teach you how to roast a chicken. I'm not teaching you recipes. I'm teaching you techniques from the bottom up. This is what we're starting from, the foundation, okay? We're starting right here. We're gonna show you how to roast a chicken. I'm not gonna make you marinate and spend all this money to do things on your first chicken that you roast. And you may suck at it, you know? Hey, it's not my fault, but on chicken number 6, it's gonna be outstanding. And again, the reason why we pick these Cornish hens is because they're big enough for 1 or 2 meals, right? I don't gotta make a 7-pound chicken. I'm gonna be eating chicken for the whole week. Who the hell wants to eat chicken for the week, huh? Come on. To prepare this chicken to go in the oven, what we need to first do is take a nice piece of tin foil and line our tray with it, because we don't want it to get all, it's gonna get drippy. I love these small trays. You know, we talked about these earlier because the tin foil just fits perfect over and I don't have to worry about anything. Now, if you were going to add any more spices or anything, it would be right now is when you would add it to season the top here. But again, we're going to act like you're broke and you don't have any spices. So we're just going to do salt and pollo. We're going in the oven. We got to come over to the oven. We're going to set it 400 degrees, okay? Now listen. Again, we're gonna go back to our little temperature gauge here thing, all right? We're gonna set it 163. Oh, here we go. That's what we want our chicken. Our target temperature is 165, and that means that it's completely done. There's no bacteria or anything growing in it, all right? And that means it'll be all the way cooked through, no pink. 165, all right? But we're gonna pull it out at 163, and what's gonna happen is the residual heat from this is gonna continue to cook, all right? Now, when we insert the prong into the chicken breast, all right? Yeah, I should have had this done before, but whatever, you know, here we are now. You wanna go into the middle of the chicken breast right here, like this, right? You go in. We're not going all the way in. You see? Right in the middle there. That lets us know. That's the middle of the breast, and that's how it's gonna get done. And then whenever this beeps, we pull it out. Now, if you go and you look at about 30 minutes or so, and it starts to get real brown on the top, and you're like, oh no, my chicken's about to burn, you just take a nice piece of tin foil and you just lay it over the top, and it'll stop that cooking, you know what I mean? All right, once it gets up to temperature, we're gonna throw it in there. And we're gonna take this bird, we're gonna put it in the oven, huh? Come on.
Perfect.
While that chicken is cooking, let's get back to the pantry. These are the basic spices that I recommend. Salt-wise, we previously spoke about Diamond Crystal kosher salt on another episode. Now, I can't stress enough how this is going to level up your cooking. Your food won't taste like a bunch of salt, and other flavors are going to be able to shine through. It's like making music and putting a filter on your guitar to make it sound pretty and not so harsh. Now, you can use any type of kosher salt, but this one has the Geno stamp of approval. The little container that I keep it in is called a salt cellar. Now you can use a small bowl if you want to with a little lid on it that you got from the dollar store, or you can get something fancy from Japan like me. A salt cellar allows you to have a nice big opening for you to get a nice big fat pinch of salt. Now, it's not absolutely necessary, but again, it's one of those things that kind of makes you feel nice when you're cooking, huh? Now next is pepper. I just buy whole peppercorns and I put it in a mill. Now make sure that you check the expiration date on that spice too. You can experiment with different kinds of peppercorns like pink, white, Szechuan, but the black is the gold standard. You can buy any kind of milk. McCormick's has an adjustable one. You can get it at any grocery store, any dollar store. I got this one right here with my credit card points, and I treated myself. It's made by Peugeot, a French race car maker. I used to have this badass Cadillac with a Peugeot Lion jumping off the hood of the car, taking a swipe for you to get out the way. And people used to take pictures in front of that car. As a matter of fact, I got one right here. If you can't afford a pepper mill, that's fine. Regular pepper will have to work. If you can find a medium ground, that's best. Fine ground, not so much. But whatever you can afford, you can afford. No one's tripping. Your food's still gonna taste great. Now I'm just gonna run through the basics here. You make sure you call the hotline for more information. 832-409-3897. You can call anytime to get the ingredient list for today's recipe. Leave a message if you want, but just know that I got caller ID and a subscription to one of those reverse number background check websites. Be nice. I'm not. I'm a tough guy. Hey, come on. I'm just joshing with you. Now, listen. Chili powder, cayenne, onion powder, garlic, oregano, red chili pepper flakes, paprika, smoked paprika, cumin, oregano, bay leaf, and chicken bouillon. Other pantry staples include light and brown sugar, flour, baking soda, and cornstarch or potato starch, which I prefer. And that's about the bare bones of what I recommend. 95% of these things you can source from the dollar store if you're on a budget. Now, with my pantry the way it is, I can cook almost any flavor I crave from any cuisine. It took me time to build a lot of these things like the vinegars and the honeys and the salts, but they don't go bad, so they can sit on my shelf for like 6 months or a year, or even longer, because they're actually made for preservation. Now, like I said before, start small and gather little by little. I can't stress enough how much cheaper it is to go to a restaurant supply store and gather equipment. You can absolutely hit the dollar store and get glassware like bowls and little glasses and little containers to put things in. You know, thrift stores are also good. Now, I'm not saying you gotta go crazy, but having a nice arsenal of jars and vessels to make you feel special when you're pickling, fermenting, and creating experiments, it's really nice, huh? Alright, now, if we're gonna make this chicken, then we're gonna have to have something to go with it. Let's go to the kitchen. What I want to do next is show you an easy way to incorporate a lot of flavor into a pantry staple, rice. We're going to make white rice. Jasmine specifically because it has the most flavor and the best texture of any rices in my personal opinion. The only rice I like more than jasmine rice is wild rice, and that's a given, huh? Come on. You can use any type of rice that you got on hand, except for the one that's made for risotto or something that has the germ on it like a brown rice. Now, I'm not going to go into too much detail about all the different rices at the moment. I'm just going to show you how to cook the one that I like. You can do your own research. It's part of the joy of cooking. Your homework assignment tonight is to find the different types of rices, cook them all, and then come back to this episode and leave me a comment about the ones that you like the best. And you got to be descriptive about the flavor, all right? Come on. First things first. We're going to gather all of our equipment. We're going to use our cast iron brazier. We need 3 cups of water, 1 cup of rice. Go ahead and grab the avocado oil. And we're also going to need our kitchen timer, huh? Come on. We're going to want to go ahead and put this on high. Dump the rice. Add a generous glug of oil. I don't know, there's something about that word I just like. Using a wooden spatula, we're going to toast this until it's a nice golden brown. Now that our rice is the color that we're looking for, we're going to go ahead and add the water. And then make sure that you got all the rice submerged. And if you were going to add a seasoning, for instance chicken bouillon, which is something that I like, then this is where you're going to add it. Now, if you want to do the pet treats that we're going to do later, you got to keep it plain. But for now, I'm going to add the bouillon. Salt and sodium is really bad for the animals. Now, once it starts to come back to a boil, we're going to drop the lid on and going to let it sit on high for 10 minutes. Now that our timer has gone off, we're going to go ahead and turn the heat off and set another timer for 5 minutes, and then we'll come back. Now that's our 5-minute timer to let the neighbors know that we're going to take it off this burner and let it sit covered for an additional 10 minutes. Do not, under any circumstance, remove the lid. Don't even peek. Don't even think about it, or I'll be talking to an empty screen. We're going to set our timer for another 10 minutes, and then we're going to have our rice revealed. Listen, there's been a lot of confusion about what to do about your leftover rice. So I went ahead and triple checked and did all the research to make sure you know how to properly cool your rice so you can safely enjoy it tomorrow and the next day. Now, once you cook and serve your rice, you don't want to leave it out at room temperature for longer than about an hour and a half. After that, the bacteria can start to grow on it. So, as you're serving your rice, spoon the remainder of it onto one of those sheet trays. Let it sit there and cool while you eat. Then, when you're finished eating and everyone's taking their place to the kitchen, that's when you take that rice, put it in a container, and you're going to want to store it, slide it into the refrigerator. And then you're done. Well, except for those dishes. Have fun with that. Now, a lot of us have diabetic people in our families. To make rice that won't make your blood sugar spike, instead of eating it immediately, transfer it to the tray, let it cool overnight before consuming. This way the rice becomes more like fiber in the digestion, and it processes differently through your system, causing the glucose level to rise slowly instead of flat out spike when it's freshly cooked. Now, I myself have type 2 diabetes. You can't tell by looking at me at the moment, but I used to be 400 pounds, and I got the receipts to prove it. Now, as you can see, I was a vicious ham sandwich, as I was so eloquently called in Wanna Be a Baller, the movie. Well, what a journey that has been. I was like 33 years old when I could finally see the sausage through the casing, if you know what I'm talking about. I even got a write-up in the Houston Chronicle back in 2019 about my natural weight loss and what I've done over the past 15 years to keep it off. Truth be told, I'm currently getting some help from some meds, but it only took until recently for them to even become available to me and get me over the weight loss plateau that I was suffering from for years. I'm eternally thankful for the medication because all of my numbers are now in the optimal range, and they weren't before. So, I'm not trying to succumb to the pitfalls of working in the service industry. You know, with all these weird hours and not being able to get sleep and being able to eat on a regular basis. You know, sometimes it gets hard to just navigate life, you know? I'm just trying to make it in a relationship with food. Sometimes it's good and sometimes it's bad. But one thing's for sure, it's life. I got this delicious pickled cabbage. Call the hotline. I'm gonna give you the recipe, okay? Now, we're gonna take our chicken. This is how we're gonna have our dinner. We're just gonna go right on the top with a nice, big, fat heaping. This is so delicious. Let's come over here. Speaking of life, I know a lot of you got a furry companion. To some of you, it's more than a companion. It's a family member. So let's not leave them out of all this love that we're making in the kitchen. I got a recipe for some pet treats, dog or cat. You can make it the same way and customize it however you want. These are the basic ingredients. A half a cup of cooked rice, a half a can of pumpkin puree, 1 egg. We're gonna beat that up. 2.5 cups of whole wheat flour, not the all-purpose. We want the whole ingredients, okay? Tablespoon of molasses, and any additional ingredients. For dogs, you can use powdered peanut butter. You could add carrots. Additional ingredients for cats, you could add some packed tuna, but the one in the water. We don't want any with the oil, all right? And you could also add some honey or even some dried shrimp. What we're gonna do right now is we're gonna take everything except for the flour, put it into this cup, and blend it in our stick blender. Take the wet ingredients like the pumpkin puree, the rice, the egg, the molasses. Look how slow that is. All right. It's a little much, but it's all right. It's for our furry friends. They're gonna love it. Now, what we're gonna do next is we're gonna take our stick blender and we're just gonna, now you wanna be careful in here, huh? Get a little messy. We're gonna blend all this together. I want it to get nice and smooth. Here, put it into our bowl. Right before we roll our dough out, I want to go over to the oven. We're going to preheat that for 350 degrees, so come on. Get the oven preheated, we're going to come back over here. We're going to take our dough and we're going to roll it out. That's how we do this. Get this little flour. All right. A roller pin here. I got this. I got these little guards on it. It's gonna roll it out to exactly 1/4 inch. Yeah, so once we got it all scored out, what we want to do is we're going to take the sheet of dough and we're going to transfer it over here to go onto our baking sheet. Should fit, bro. Could come off a smidge here. There we go. There we go. Once we got our we want to score this so we know where to break our treats off. We're going to make them small. Into the oven we go, huh? Come here. All right, we're gonna set our timer for 11 minutes. Dog treats, I don't mind if I do. Many years ago, I worked at a grocery store chain in a public-facing kitchen. My very first year there, a volunteer position opened up called the Diversity Champion. I decided to give it a whirl. I had to go through an interview process, and I was told that I was the only Caucasian to ever sign up. Also, the first from a cooking department. My boss called me a pioneer. They asked me then what my plan of attack was. I told them I wanted to show diversity through food. I started in June, Pride Month. I hung this gigantic rainbow flag and attached a colorful poster board of information and pictures about the history of the Pride Parade and how all of us, as one people, love to come together and enjoy food and beverage, especially at brunch. I then proceeded to give them one of my favorite mimosa recipes. And there was definitely some eyebrows raised because this was a corporate environment, but the reception was positive. So, of the drink cards that I printed out, there were no drink cards left, and I think I printed like 45 of them. So throughout this whole year term, I was able to teach them about different types of sandwiches, stewed meats, rice preparations, and even ice creams. You see, there was this giant map in the break room that showed all the names of the different employees, and they had a pin stuck in the country their families were from. I used that as a guide to highlight all the different cultures that worked in the store, from Russia to the Philippines. Even some blessed me with some family recipes, showing them diversity through food in a way they never thought possible. Conversations were starting to happen between people that never talked before, all about food. I provided printed recipe cards for anyone to take home and try for themselves. Being culturally diverse not only expands your tasting palette, but also expands your perspective on life and enriches you in ways that you can't even be described. When you dig deeper into where the foods you love come from and how they're prepared, you start to see the people who made it and all the love that goes into it. It makes me think we're more alike than we are different. Now, if we just accept people for who they are and allow ourselves to be open to everyone, our pantry, and our soul, it becomes one of the most magical and colorful places to live in the entire world. Now let that stew in your mind for a little while. I think you've already had your taste for the day. But look, if you want some dessert, I got that drip. Solo dolo, stay fly, it's a trip. You'll thirst trap till I die, drip. I'll put that sparkle in your eye, that's drip. Yeah, ho, drip. Whoa, 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 whoa. Now, hold on a second, I said just a taste. That's all you're getting for the night. If you want more information, go to the website, bananaboysclub.com. And until next time, stay cooking with Gino. Hey, come on!